everyone, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to continue on the previous video that I have done on Testcube, which is cloud native testing tool, and we're going to cover how you can use the power of Testkube along with Argo CD to provide a GitOps powered way of Kubernetes testing. Now the link to the playlist is, you can find the playlist on my YouTube channel, and you can see that I've already done a video on Argo CD and GitOps if you're new to that, so you can watch that video first. If you're new to like Testkube, you haven't tried it out yourself, you can test you can check out my video on that as well, Testkube, the Kubernetes native testing framework. I've done a tutorial on that already, so links to that I can I will leave in the description below. And here I have just Argo CD running. Yeah, so let's get started. So basically the way I structure my videos is we try to focus on why we are doing it. Okay, what are some of the challenges and how the tools that I share about, open source tools and these projects, how they address those challenges, right? So when we talk about the GitOps way of cloud native testing, then we talk about GitOps, we talk about managing your cluster, like the states of your cluster in Git, and it's like, okay, Kunal, making sure that it's not out of sync. So something changes in your Git repository using the GitOps practices, it will be applied in your cluster or whatever. Okay, so this can be added to in terms of like security or like toolings and all these other things. So Argo CD and other tools like Flux and stuff, they help us in doing this. So basically your cluster will be in sync with the Git repository that you have. So anything you change in your Git repository, your cluster will do that. I've done this, I covered this in the Argo CD video, so make sure you check it out. Cool. So the reason it's very popular why we're doing it is because there's one source of truth. Like your Git repository, that's how your cluster should look like. Some changes in Git repository will make sure that our cluster is also up to date and things like that. So how does it relate with like testing? Why are we talking about GitOps, the GitOps approach with testing? Because the sort of the sort of activities that we take into consideration when talking about testing, GitOps can be used in order to utilize. It can be basically utilized more by a GitOps. Okay, so it's in this video, that's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover a GitOps friendly cloud native test orchestration, and we're going to be using Testkube for that. Okay, so using Testkube, as I mentioned in the previous Testkube video, like the tests are running in your Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so we talked about all the challenges it solves and all the other great things it has to offer. But via using GitOps, we will make sure that Testkube is basically going to make sure that it is including all the tests and artifacts and the application configurations in the state of the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and the source of truth thing that I mentioned previously, now Git is going to be the source of truth for all the test artifacts. Okay, again, as I mentioned it again and again in various other tools that I share about, it's open sourced, so that's pretty cool. And if you want to learn more about Testkube, you can check out the link in the description below. It's a website, and we're going to be looking at the documentation a little bit, and we're going to see a hands-on demo right after I explain to you what other benefits it has to offer. So you'll be like, okay, you're using this testing approach in GitOps, that's cool. Why are we doing it? So the reason is that since now your tests are included in the cluster state, your Kubernetes cluster state, you are always able to validate that your application components and services work as they are required to be. Okay, and the tests, as I mentioned in the previous video for Testkube, they are run inside your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so you don't have to expose any services or work with like granular details when it comes to like accessing requesting permissions. Many times that's also the case. So that makes it pretty easy. And the tests in your cluster, they will always be in sync with any external tooling that you use. And the execution that we're talking about for testing, it's not strictly tied to the CI stuff, but it can also be triggered manually, right? Like using Kubernetes events. Okay, cool. And last but not least, you can also leverage all the existing automation assets from like Postman or Cypress or whatever, and even end-to-end testing through some of the executor plugins. So in a podcast I did, we talked about like what if you want to add support for some other tools. So they mentioned that you can use executors for that. That's also, since it's open source, you can contribute as well. So make sure you check out the links in the description below and the previous Twitter Spaces and podcasts we have done with the Testkube team. Cool. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get started now. Let me first show you like the things that I mentioned in the form of diagram, how that looks like. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Cool. Git repository. Here's your Argo. The Testkube CLI is available over here. These are your like Postman tests or whatever that we'll be having in this particular demo. Let's do it. Let's dive straight into the demo. So some of the prerequisites you need to have. What we're basically going to do in this session is we're going to do a step-by-step walkthrough of automated application deployment and the execution of Postman collections in our local Minikube cluster. So you can see I have Lens over here and I have Minikube running. So these are the workloads and stuff. I have Argo CD running, for example, for now. Cool. And what we're going to do is let's install Testkube as well. Brew install Testkube. If you want to learn more about Lens, by the way, you can check out the links in the description. Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to close it. By the way, you can also install it in your cluster. kubectl Testkube install. Okay. There you have it. You can also install it in your cluster. It's going to create another namespace for it. There you go. Now our pods are going to be starting soon. Cool. All right. So install Minikube, install Argo CD, install Testkube. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up a Hello Kubernetes application. That's what we're going to do. So let's do that. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to create a file. Let's say we create a resource directly. I'll create a resource. Okay. You can select your templates or whatever, but I'm just going to copy the file over here. Okay. I'm going to create this resource. It's just a simple Hello Kubernetes. I have a service over here and a deployment. And that looks pretty good. We are going to create it. Okay. That has been done. Looks pretty good. And we can check our Hello Kubernetes. It's currently pending. No worries. In the overview, you can check it's currently pending. It's okay. You can check out the service as well. Hello Kubernetes. Here we go. And now pod is running as well. Cool. You can check it. You can say Minikube service Hello Kubernetes service. Okay. Sounds good. Very good. No worries. Very nice. Okay, Kunal. We have this now. Now what we're going to do. So we're talking about testing. So let's do some Postman, collections. So, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some tests created by Postman and we're going to add it into the, export it into a Postman collections file. So we can use it, like we can create a separate GitHub, like a Git repository for that. And this is what it would basically look like. So I'm going to go to GitHub, I'm going to create a new GitHub repository and I'm going to call it new GitHub repository. I'm going to call it Testkube Argo CD tests. Okay, so this is going to contain our Postman tests. I'm going to make it public. Null Testkube Argo CD tests. Create a repository. Okay, I'm going to go on my desktop. I can say make dir Testkube Argo CD tests. Okay, here I'm going to make my Postman collection tests. You can have multiple files over here. So I'm just going to make a folder, Postman collections. Okay, and here I'm going to make a file called, so we're using Hello Kubernetes application. So I'll just make Hello Kubernetes.json. Okay, You can go to the documentation to learn more about how various tests you can create. See, Postman test, Cypress and stuff. So you can see creating a new Postman test. So you can use Postman for that. Okay, sounds good. Cool. And I'm gonna add this. First of all, I'm gonna fill this in. I'm gonna insert my tests over here. That looks pretty good. All right. I need to add my GitHub repo to it. Okay, I'm gonna say git mode add origin this URL. Okay, git add dot status. That looks pretty good. Git commit initial commit, git push origin main. This is what it's all about. Like, we make changes to this repository and our cluster will be in sync. Okay, so that looks good. All nice. Cool. Now we're going to configure Argo CD in order to work with Testcube. So to get Argo CD to use Testcube, we need to add Testcube as one of the plugins. Okay, and we can build like a customized Argo CD repo server container image that is going to contain Testcube as one of the binaries. Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna go to my folder, or I can just go over here, terminal. I can create a new resource. For example, let me just create a new file. That's fine. Can go my desktop. I can say touch. I can create a new patch file, right? So I can say patch.yaml. Okay, so this is what my patch.yaml file is going to look like. We're basically adding as a plugin over here, and now basically I can apply this command, and we can see the changes take place. Okay, so we can apply it, new patch. There you go. Looks pretty good. All right, all the changes you can see in your Lens IDE as well. Okay, sounds good. I mean, looks good to me. All right, let's move forward. Basically, what I'm going to do is we're going to define the Testcube as a plugin in the Argo CD's configuration management plugin. So I can create a new file over here. I can say Argo CD plugins.yaml. Okay, that looks good. And notice over here that we have used the command testcube generate test CRDs. So it's going to basically create the custom resources, the manifests that Argo CD is then going to use to add it to our cluster. Okay, we can apply this patch as well. Cool, that looks good. All right, now basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure an Argo CD application in order for us to manage the test collections in our cluster itself. So I'm going to create another file and I'm going to call it Testcube application. Okay, okay, and here you can see the repository URL is the one that I created, and the path I've mentioned is the Postman collections path, which is the test folder with our Postman collections from the previous steps that we did, right? And with Testcube, we can use multiple text executors, like you can use curl, for example. So it's convenient to have like folders for every single, multiple test executors that you have. Okay, and we have also defined the destinations like the namespace as Testcube, which is where the test should be deployed in our cluster. Okay, so in the Testcube namespace, these will be deployed. Let's run that. Looks pretty good. Okay, you can also check it in your over here. all namespaces. Okay, seems to be working fine. That looks good to me. Okay, now we're going to go back to Argo CD. And there you go. Now we went to Argo CD, we can see a new application for us has been created, right? So it did us for automatically. It's saying it's out of sync right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to it. We're going to select our application and we're going to click on sync to sync all the tests that have been recently created. I'm going to say synchronize. Looks pretty good. All right. And that's it. We're done. So there's our test collections that is being created and managed by Argo CD. And with every new test that is created and updated in the GitHub repository, that contains all these tests. As simple as that. As simple as that. Cool. You can run your tests from the the CI pipeline as well, the CLI as well, and you can try some of the ad hoc test executions using the Testkube CLI as well, and you can do all sorts of things. Okay, sounds good. Cool. Let's see how that's going to look like in the CLI. Okay, so you can run your tests as such using the CLI or whatever you want. And I've already covered this. Like, you can work with the Testkube UI as well. The documentation is given over here, but I've also covered it in my YouTube video, so you can check that out as well. So you can go to videos, you can check it out in the playlist. Here's the one that I did on Testkube. There you go. Okay, it's a pretty nice video, and we have covered the UI part and stuff as well. So if you want to work with that, go for it. And one thing I'm going to do now is we're going to make some changes, okay, to this file, and let's see if it's how the GitOps thing would work. So I'm going to make some changes in this file. Okay, but what I'm going to do is let's make some changes. Let's change this file to something else, and I'm going to create a commit. I'm going to do it directly. That's fine. And now when I go over here in our application, once it's committed, sync status. Okay, here you can see that the current sync status, the head, like, it has now changed. So if I go to my commits, this was 5E58 before, and now it's to D479. D479 automatically it synced it. So you can just click on sync as well. That would synchronize it as well, and as you can see, it's done. Okay, both of them are pointing to the latest commit, which is D47. That's pretty cool. That's very nice. So we covered a lot of things, but we ended up getting something very nice, which is an automated test deployment and execution pipeline based on GitOps principles. Okay, so try it out. Using GitOps for testing for K8s applications is a powerful alternative to various other traditional approaches, where orchestration is tied to like your CI/CD tooling and stuff, and not really that closely aligned with the life cycle of the Kubernetes applications, if you will. So that's basically about it. Last thing I'd like to share is we are running a blogging event, so you can write your blogs. So we have some nice prizes to give away, like a Casio GSOC and some of the nice tracks like databases, trending technologies, and things like that. So you can write a blog on Testkube on this video or the previous one that I did, and you can take part in it. We're giving up some nice prizes. In order to take part, you can check this section out, how to participate, and you can also check out like Testkube on on social media. So you can check out it's an open source project, so join the Discord community of Kubeshop, which they have this project, and you can check out the Twitter handle, and you can see some of the amazing projects. We've already done a lot of around Monocle, so you can check around Testkube and all the other things like that. But yeah, give the GitHub repository a star. You can check out the GitHub repository over here as well. Here you go, GitHub. There you go. There you can find Testkube. You can give it a star, and you can contribute to it. Some open issues and PRs are available over here, and that's basically about it. Thanks a lot for watching, and share about it on socials. Join the Learning in Public initiative, and just explore it yourself. Check out the documentation. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.